Welcome. I am Halcyon. This is Hug Nation. What a treat to spend this moment with you. Today, the topic is the world is our spiritual gymnasium. Now, for a long time, I thought about the world as a classroom. But recently I've made a shift in the way that I'm thinking about it. And I'll try to explain why. A classroom has lesson plans and math problems and individual and collective lessons that can be figured out. There is a lock and a key that fits it. There is a math problem and an answer. You can solidly and completely complete and achieve and learn and grow. But a gymnasium isn't quite so clear-cut. When you go to the gym, there's no expectation that you're eventually going to lift up a weight that doesn't come down. Everything you lift in a gym comes back down. It's about the process of struggle. It's about pushing against the resistance. The process itself, the practice itself of lifting the weight is what you're trying to do. You're not trying to lift it and put it somewhere and then continue to put it up somewhere. You're just trying to practice, and in doing so, grow and become healthier. And I think that's significant because the other option, the classroom model, can at some point really become overwhelming. For example, in today's day and age, in a world where we have Trump ranting on the airwaves and a significant number of people saying, yeah, when we have global climate stuff, when we have financial inequality, while we have pollution, and why we have so many things that seem to be going poorly in the world, it feels like we've lost. It feels like not just we're losing, but maybe it's lost. And I recently got to a place where I felt like I'd lost my faith. I was using the term I lost my faith without really knowing what I meant by that. I just was feeling discouraged. I mean, here I am, the person who so frequently talks about focus on the good, crap or cone, focus on the good, focus on the good. And there was this thing inside me, this voice that kept saying, there's some real darkness out there that you need to focus on. There's some real bad stuff that requires you to be fighting against. It's irresponsible to just focus on spreading light. You need to get out there and sit with the dark. And even though I've had this cycle before, I still fell into that trap. And I spent more time digesting and sitting with and learning about things that were just really... You know what? It's not the learning about or the sitting with that is the problem. It's the falling into the trap of feeling like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, this is terrible, this is terrible. And I think the voice inside me was saying, you need to spend time, you need to acknowledge how crappy things are so that you get motivated to do something about it. That's the story that this voice in me wanted to convince me of. But that's not what happened at all. The more freaked out I got, the more I shut down. The less I did in the world, the less good I was putting into the world. It felt like the fight was over. It felt like it doesn't make a difference. It felt like the tide is just too strong. And so that idea of this war is unwinnable. Why am I fighting? And I think that, you can easily get convinced of that when you look at what's going on in the world. Like this round of humanity, we've lost, hopefully the roaches will keep life alive, and we won't destroy the planet for too many other species, and maybe evolution will take us in a direction that is more responsible in the future. But that, like, shutting down is the opposite effect. That shutting down actually is giving up. And I started to think, like, maybe this is what a test of faith is in a modern secular world. Maybe this current landscape of the world, where there's so much negative news, we're bombarded with negativity and tales of woe and doom, and you hear phrases like catastrophic as part of headlines. Maybe this state of struggle is our opportunity to demonstrate our faith. In the biblical stories, you have people like Job who gets tested by God. And if we looked at it as a metaphor, then we could be being tested by the universe right now. Will we give up? Will we say, there's nothing good about this place, this world, this life? Or will we continue to go, yeah, but look at all the incredible things. Yes, there is unwinnable war parts of this. Yes, there is tragedy. Yes, there is trends that we need to work on. But I'm going to just go, this ice cream tastes delicious. This sunset is gorgeous. This feeling of holding hands with this person is amazing. And from that strengthened place, from that place of faith, have the energy to actually do good and put light and heal the world. Letting go of that end objective of ridding the world of evil and darkness. That is never going to happen. That's why it's a gym. You don't finish this classroom on earth and go, all right, and carry the 4 plus 2 equals, all right, 0. I balanced the equation. There's no more bad in the world. There's no more corruption. There's no more pollution. Ta-da! That's not how this experience works. This plane of existence on this planet is a gym with varying degrees of weight that we practice, varying degrees of struggle, varying degrees of frustration and conflict. And our opportunity is to have a healthy practice in this gym and gain strength. And just like when you first start going to a gym, or you get forced into some sort of athletic strenuous activity, if you're out of shape and you don't really care about that, it's going to suck and it's going to hurt and you're going to be sore and it's terrible. But if you have a practice, if you are working and you start having consistency, you get to a point where you love it, you crave it, you want to be constantly working and struggling. You don't see the gym as like, oh no, I have to lift all this weight today. You see the gym as, this is part of my practice of improving, of growing, of staying peaceful and healthy. And this wacky, frustrating world can be that as well. And just like in the gym, there are some people that are, or in the realm of athletic expression, there are some people who are totally oblivious. They'd have never even been to the gym. They are overweight. They are eating terribly. They are totally oblivious to the fact that this is a place where you're supposed to push yourself and get heavier. A place where you're supposed to push yourself and get healthier. And on the other end of the spectrum in the gym, you've got the crazed nuts who have 0% body fat, who basically enjoy nothing about life, don't ever have a piece of cake, don't do anything except for work on the health of their body. And I would argue that somewhere in the middle is the healthy path. And maybe the healthy path is the sweet spot for you. Maybe when you're first starting to work out, it's very low, and it's just adjusting your diet a little bit and strenuous activity a little bit. And then maybe that sweet spot suddenly, well, gosh, it's so easy for me to walk a mile now. It's so easy for me to do 10 push-ups. I'm going to push my line a little bit. I'm going to like try to do a little bit more. And as you get healthier, you feel better. And the same is true in this gym of life. Initially, when you know nothing and don't care about anything, you also don't have the benefit of that feeling of peace and strength. But as you start to practice a little bit, as you start to become aware a little bit, you start to go, oh, this practice that I was doing doesn't feel right anymore. I used to just guzzle cases of bottled water. Now that doesn't feel so good anymore. So now I know that that is a practice that I'm going to try to be better at. Okay, now I'm a little bit in better shape. And now I'm noticing that in my interactions, I haven't been a good listener. All right, so I'm going to start practicing that. And in my relationship, I'm noticing that I'm making assumptions. Okay, I'm practicing, getting better, and trying to get more in alignment with our highest selves, with our divine selves. Never expecting to be divine, just like you never expect to go to the gym and become Arnold Schwarzenegger. On the far end of the athletic, you've got the Arnold Schwarzenegger. On the far end of the spiritual, you have something like a Jain aesthetic. The Jainists have this intense practice of ahisma, of non-violence and doing no harm, to the point that they will sweep in front of them with a broom and wear a mask so that they do not accidentally step on or inhale a microscopic organism. They will not eat a root like a carrot or a beet, because to eat it would be to kill the entire plant. They eat fruit that drops from things. They don't even cook at night because of the danger of flying insects being attracted to a flame is higher. Now that is insane. Or it is a totally evolved being. But just like in the gym, we're not expected to be Arnold Schwarzenegger. We're not expected to be the Jainist. We find ourselves somewhere on the spectrum and then practice and then practice and then practice. And just like in the gym, if you don't practice, you will slip back. You will slip back. And so recently, I was consuming an unhealthy diet of information. I was not filling my belly with inspiring ideas and people and thoughts, and instead was having sugar-rich Fox News type information that got me out of shape, that got me feeling icky. And so that shift in awareness from winning the war to fighting honorably changes everything. It changes that voice inside that says, oh my gosh, sky is falling, Trump is this, there's camps that are breeding terrorists, there's this and this. Like, yes, there are, absolutely. This is a crazy, violent, corrupt world, and I will encounter that stuff, and that if I ever have to encounter one of those things, that's when I'm ready for a big day at the gym. All right, that guy just drove by, called me a name. All right, I'm stuck in traffic. I'm missing an appointment. Someone just yelled something at me. I hear on the news about a Trump rally, and maybe I lose my cool. Oh, I can't lift it today. That's what it's all about. It is that growth process. And I don't know, for me, just recognizing that, what if we're too far? What if the environment cannot be fixed? What if we are barreling into oblivion? Does that mean do nothing? If you believe there's nothing beyond this physical world, you could be convinced of a very nihilistic perspective of what's the point of anything? But if you believe that there is realms of consciousness and awareness and universal wisdom beyond this planet, call it whatever you want, label it whatever you want, make it look like whatever you want. But if you have an awareness of something beyond this planet, then this planet can be the gymnasium for our spirit, for our consciousness. And just as a fetus, we graduated into this physical world, regardless of what happens to this planet, regardless of what happens to the political realms here, the health of our consciousness will determine what we are born into next. And I say all that with the understanding that all these ideas are trying to make sense of the unknowable. And we require a myth, we require a framework to make sense of it all. That's how the human brain works. And so this is the framework that is helping me to make sense of things right now, that is helping to steer me back into loving life. In my secular worldview, there are no demons, but there are stories that can bring darkness to the world. And so having faith, for me, my test of faith is to face the dark stories, to face the awareness of corruption and evil in the world, and still focus on the light, still love God, still love the experience of being alive. It's interesting. I actually initially sat down last week to write about this struggle that I was having, where I was feeling like I've lost my faith. You know, there's so much that sucks in the world. Every time I hear something good, I go, yeah, but. And I hear something good, I go, yeah, but. Or I hear somebody say something positive, I'm like, yeah, but. I'm like, who am I? This is not the way that I want to see the world. And what's worse, I know that the way you think about the world is how the world is reflected to you. Maybe even actually creates that reality. So knowing all that, what am I doing being so pessimistic? What am I doing shutting down positive thoughts and perspectives? But I was struggling. I couldn't turn it around. I had lost my faith. Oh, wait, right. What if the goal is not to end the darkness? What if the darkness is here as a gift for us? What if these are weights for us to lift, but they will remain heavy? Gravity is relentless, as is the darkness in the world. You know, maybe the goal is not to win. Maybe the goal is to face the struggle with honor and integrity. You know, a saint doesn't become a saint because they put out the fire. A saint is deemed a saint because they kept their faith even as they were being engulfed in flames. And you know what? And even with all of this news stories about how bad everything is and is getting, the truth is it's not that bad. In fact, it's better than it's ever been. There is less violence. There is more higher standards of living. There is less disease. There is less child deaths. There is so many studies and statistics that show that actually it's better than it's ever been. Further evidence that it's always going to have struggle. The world is always going to have struggle. Our life is always going to have struggle. There's always struggle happening in our body in the constant battle of invading microbes and white blood cells. And so, I think I just had a pretty heavy couple months in the spiritual gym. But I'm feeling like my faith is renewed. My connection to all that is beautiful in the world feels stronger than ever. And you are part of that. You are what is beautiful in the world. Sure, you've got rough days in the gym, but that's part of what makes you so beautiful. We are here not to sip pina coladas on the beach. We are here to hit the weights, to grow our spirit, to get free of the binds of our thoughts, and your presence here and every person that is here plays a role in that education and that curriculum and that workout. So I am so appreciative of this journey, even when I sometimes curse the trainer and want to skip a leg day. So thank you for being a part of all of this. I love you.